Well, congratulations, you've made it to Lesson 6. This is the last lesson of the study, and it's an important one. I'd like to thank all of the group hosts for taking initiative to get this group started. I'd also like to thank all of the group members who've helped out during the study by opening their homes, facilitating the discussion, and bringing refreshments. I hope that your group has enjoyed your time together. Now, if you plan on continuing your group using Captivating and Wild at Heart or the Refuel Study by Doug Fields, get your order in ASAP. Don't take too much time between studies or else you'll be finishing up right around Christmas Eve. Now let's take action. Today is a great day. Today we're going to take action on what we've learned. The unique challenge may be aligning the priorities of your life, growing closer to God, developing healthy relationships, becoming physically healthy, or gaining more wisdom. After today, things will begin to change if we're willing to do the hard work of change. Remember, we're not doing everything all at once. We're going to focus on one thing in one of these areas, and that's it. Now a bit of bad news. You and I are as self-disciplined as we will ever be on our own. There's no way that any human being can become more self-disciplined. What we have is what we get. Now, you might be wondering at this point if the study has been entirely pointless, but stay with me. We can't make ourselves more self-disciplined, but what we can do is find somebody who already has a discipline that we want and get their help and support to develop that discipline ourselves. So think about the area that you want to work on. Who do you already know that's doing well in that area? If you're thinking about growing closer to God, who do you know that has a consistent quiet time or a solid prayer life? Now, don't go looking for a monk in a monastery. That's probably not the route you're headed. But who already has the discipline you desire? If your area is to grow in your marriage, whose marriage do you admire? Now, I didn't say whose spouse do you covet. If you want to improve your marriage, find someone who's a little further down the road. Your peers can give great support, but let's be honest. They only know about as much as you do. Find a marriage you admire and take that husband, if you're a man, or that wife, if you're a woman, out for coffee and ask them what their secret is. If you need to lose weight, start having lunch with a skinny eater. If you need to learn from your experiences, hang out with someone who's maybe a little older and who has learned from the school of hard knocks. Over time, we'll be able to start doing these things on our own, and then we will be self-disciplined in the area. Let's say we choose to become more physically fit by walking 15 minutes every day. But the only way we can schedule those 15 minutes is by getting up 15 minutes earlier every day. Most of us could get up 15 minutes earlier for a little while, but we're trying to start things that we can do for the rest of our lives. So what do? We find someone who already has the discipline of getting up when we need to get up. And we ask them to call us, text us, set off an explosion, whatever it takes to get us up 15 minutes earlier. Now, it's better to ask someone other than your spouse. Then after weeks to months of their wake-up calls every day, we'll start doing this on our own. We've become self-disciplined in getting up 15 minutes earlier. As we get into today's study, keep in mind that we're not about to take on 14 different changes that we're going to nail in the next 30 days. That won't happen. We're going to focus on one key area out of everything that we've discussed and start with that. In fact, the experts say that it takes roughly a month to establish a good habit or break a bad habit. Have you ever been part of a gym in January? It's crazy. There's a line for every machine, but starting about mid-February, there's no waiting. Where did everybody go? Well, that's about the time our New Year's resolutions run out. We're not interested in making New Year's resolutions. As my friend Dr. Kyle Firth says, you want to start something that you can do for the rest of your life. If you need to lose weight, well, you can't avoid chocolate cake for the rest of your life. But you also don't have to eat the whole thing. For each key area in this series, our relationship with God, our relationship with people, living a healthy lifestyle, and gaining wisdom, we've provided suggestions for how to get started or how to keep going in each of these areas. The suggestions give next steps in this lesson, and they're listed as crawl, walk, or run. If you're just getting started with a quiet time, choose a crawl step. An easy way is to sign up on BiblePlan.org to have a daily scripture reading sent to your email inbox. If you've already started a quiet time, you might want to choose a walk step like the Refuel series by Doug Fields. If you're pretty advanced in your spiritual practices, you might consider a run step like Celebration of Discipline by Richard Foster and putting these disciplines into practice. In addition to choosing the next right step and asking your friend who has already developed the discipline you want to help you, we have another tremendous resource, God Himself, who is also working toward our success. The Bible tells us, work hard to show the results of your salvation, obeying God with deep reverence and fear. For God is working in you, giving you the desire and the power to do what pleases Him. This passage might give the impression that somehow we work for our salvation. That is simply not true. Think about when you exercise, or when you will be exercising in the near future. What do we call exercise? We call it a workout. When we exercise, we are working out our bodies. We're not working for our bodies. We already have our bodies. It's not like if we don't work out that our bodies would be subject to some sort of recall. That's ridiculous. Well, I could use an upgrade. We're saved by grace. The Bible makes this very clear. For it is by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not from ourselves, it is the gift of God, not by works, so that no one can boast. We don't work for our salvation. We work out our salvation. The difference is that now that we belong to Christ, we are no longer in charge of our lives. For this to work, we must truly give up control in every area of our lives and allow Christ's powerful force to empower and guide our lives. This study is about more than having a daily quiet time or a regular date night with your spouse. It's not just about learning from our experiences or becoming physically healthy. Every aspect of this study comes down to one thing. Are we going to trust God with every area of our lives, or are we going to just trust ourselves? The God part of our lives is not just an hour on Sunday morning and our small group study. The God part of our lives, the spiritual part of our lives, is actually our whole life. For me to turn from food and turn to God when I'm upset means that I'm forsaking an idol in my life and seeking God's help instead. To acknowledge God's presence throughout my day is to recognize that my life is not entirely up to me. To put the needs of my family and friends ahead of my needs makes me more like Jesus. Each of these areas, wisdom, stature, and favor with God and people, all relate to our spiritual life. You get the picture. In verse 12, Paul gives a rather strong statement. Work hard with deep reverence and fear. But if we belong to God, we really don't have anything to fear. According to Psalm 27:1, the Lord is my light and my salvation, so why should I be afraid? The basic idea is that deep reverence, or fear and trembling, means a total dependence on the saving work of God. Saving work is the idea of sanctification, the practical working out of God's grace and character in our lives. Just as we cannot save ourselves, we also cannot improve ourselves, at least not according to God's standards. But this isn't based on our performance. Remember, it's God working in us that leads to our working out. Today, as you begin to take your first action step, know that God is with you and is working in you. You might need to improve just a few things, or you might need a major overhaul. Change starts with taking the first step. No matter where you've been or where we need to go, you can find out how to live a balanced life. It's not as far away as you think.